Today I'm going to be talking about a few intensity techniques that you can use to gain muscle and gain strength in the gym using less time. So these intensity techniques can be used to get similar or better muscle and strength gain, burn more fat in the gym while not working out as long. So there was a study a few years ago where researchers looked at two groups of subjects, one that did more of a traditional style exercise program where they did multiple sets for one exercise before moving on to the next exercise, and they also had a circuit type group that moved from one exercise to the next for each set and then moved back to the first exercise and for the second set of sets. And the circuit training group actually had similar muscle and strength gain as the traditional style exercise group, but the circuit style group were able to work out for less and have similar results. So the first group of techniques are the set extending techniques. I personally like these a lot, and these are things like drop sets where you would do an X amount of reps, you cut the weight down from 10 to 20%, and then you do as many more reps as you can. And if you want, you can actually do this for another drop or even 2 or 3 more drops, and this would be a double or triple drop. If you do this all the way down a stack of dumbbells, that could be a running the rack set where you take, let's say, a 30-pound dumbbell, then you move on to 25-pound, all the way down to a 5-pound. And I found this type of drop set to be most effective for things like a curl or an isolation shoulder exercise like a lateral raise, but you can also use it for things like push downs, other isolation exercises as well. If you use this technique for plate loaded movements, you would just take off things like a 25 for a squat, for example, and move down the weight stack like that, and this would be called strip sets. You can also do something called a mechanical drop set, and this is where you move from less advantageous to more mechanically advantageous exercise positions. So let's say you start off with a supinated bicep curl. You do as many reps as you can, and once you reach the maximum reps that you can complete with good form, you can switch to a more of a pronated or a neutral grip where you're doing hammer curls, and you can do a couple more reps in that position since it's easier to do. And once you tire on those, you can move on to crossbody hammer curls, which allows you to do even more reps. Another technique is the rest pause technique where you do as many reps as you can, you rest 10 to 15 seconds, and then you're able to do a couple more reps. So you can extend that set out a little bit more through rest pause. A final set extending technique method is the rep target method, and this is where you set a rep target like 50 reps or 100 reps. You try to reach that target in as few sets as possible. However, if, let's say for example, you get 12 reps on your first set, you can get 10 reps on your second, 9 reps on your third, and so on until you get your desired rep target. Next are the superset techniques, and for supersets, there's a basic superset. I like to do Antagonist muscle supersets where you use muscles with opposite functions. So let's say you combine a pull and a push type exercise. So let's say for your push, you'd use a bench. You're working your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps. For your pulling exercise, let's say you're using a row and you're using your back, your rear delts, your biceps. And while you do one exercise, the muscles that are used in the other exercise are resting, and vice versa. So you're able to use that rest time that you would have been using to simply rest and not do any exercise for another exercise, and you're a lot more efficient this way. If you don't want to do antagonist muscle supersets, you can also do similar muscle supersets. I'd recommend doing something like a compound first, maybe in a lower rep range with higher weight, a higher intensity, followed by more of an isolation style exercise where you're focused more on the mind-muscle connection, more higher reps, more for the pump. So maybe do something like a bench press followed by a fly or a push-up. There's also giant sets where instead of, well, supersets you do 2 exercises back to back. Giant sets are usually 3 or more exercises, and you go from one to another, usually resting about 5 to 15 seconds in between exercises, which is around the time that you need to just kind of set up for the next exercise, and resting around 2 to 3 minutes between giant sets. This is a great way to get in a lot more volume. You can stick to one intensity rep range, like doing 5s across for 3 different big compound movements, or you can do something like different intensity ranges for each of the movements. So starting off with something I recommend heavier with lower reps, and moving on to higher reps with more of isolation focus for the later exercises. A third type of superset are jump sets, and this is where you set a rep target like let's say 8 reps on presses and pull downs, and maybe you can only get 5 reps on your presses, but then you jump over to pull downs, you do 5 reps on that as well, and then maybe you jump back to presses and you're able to get 3, and then you jump back to pull downs and you're able to get 3 as well, and then you can rest for a little bit, you can go back in your set. And this way, even if you could only get 5 reps on each of those exercises, by jumping back and forth, you're able to get more total reps for each of those exercises, but you're not wasting time since you're jumping back and forth between exercises that you would have done anyways. Next are the lower intensity or assisted variations. These include things like forced reps, where let's say you have a partner spotting you on the bench press, they'll help you on the concentric phase of the exercise, and on the eccentric phase you're able to do more on your own. So the concentric phase is going to be the muscle shortening phase, where, for example, on a curl, that's where you pull the weight up. The eccentric phase is going to be the lengthening phase, where you're able to lift more weight and that's going to be like when you lower the weight down on a curl. If you don't have a spotter, you can use pins and a squat rack or another assisted machine for your forced reps. You can also do this on your own. If you're using like an isolation movement, like a curl for example, an isolation curl, you can use your other hand to support your arm and help with the concentric portion of the exercise. Next are partial reps, where you move the weight through a partial range of motion. Let's say for a curl you might do just the bottom part of the bottom half of the curl and then maybe the top half of the curl, and you're able to do more in that shorter range of motion than if you had used a full range of motion. This is especially effective for things like burnout sets, where let's say you do bench for 6 to 8 reps, and then after you're done you're not able to do any more complete reps, but you're able to do partial reps from your chest to halfway up for maybe a couple more reps, and this way you can burn out different muscles like your chest and your shoulders after you've reached failure with complete range of motion on that exercise. Lastly are cheat reps, and this is when you use momentum to help with the concentric portion of the exercise. And for this you need to make sure to not cheat too much and to use good form when you're doing the eccentric portion. So maybe you'll swing up on an exercise like a curl or a row when you're pulling in, and when you're lowering the weight back for the row or the curl, make sure to try to use as much control as possible, do the reps slowly, and try to get as much out of that rep as possible. So set extending techniques like drop sets, supersets, and assisted reps or lower intensity variations are different intensity techniques that you can use to get more workout volume in and get better strength and muscle gains in a shorter period of time than you would have using longer workouts, especially effective for busy people. I'd recommend sprinkling a few of these throughout your workout, especially towards the end. If you have long workouts, you probably don't need to do this, but if you have shorter workouts, this can help you get more workout volume in. And the nice thing is you can couple a few of these together, so you can do your normal set, do a rest pause set, and follow that up with like a mechanical drop set for example, and you can stack multiple of these and have even more workout volume in a shorter period of time. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked the video or benefited from it. Let me know down below in the comments if you found any of these techniques useful or you have any other techniques that you use that I haven't talked about. Let me also know what you want me to cover in the next video, and make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't, hit the notification button as well, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care. Hopefully that worked. That was the second time recording. You know what that's called? That's called stress.